You got your green?
Got everybody.
You got it on this time?
Yep, got it
You
on.
got the light on.
That song is recording.
Red dot. The other light.
Oh, this is good. This
Oh,
is
we need
bright.
that. The bright light. Let me get up.
It's now time for the Love Power Show coming up next. Anybody love Willie Hutch? Like Wallace Red do. He loves Willie Hutch and he's coming up next. On the Love Power Show.
We love him from Willie Hutch.
Come on, Willie Hutch.
Come on
I think that's good. I don't really need a light.
No, you talk loud.
It does. So I think situating these two.
Wallace,
Yes.
the one we're running tomorrow is the one from
Last week.
the 14th, right? 13th, right?
Yeah. I like that because it doesn't appear that it's the same show. I thought about it. That might be a good idea.
Y'all ready?
Ready?
3, 2, 1, go!
Hello and welcome to the Love Power Show.
Yes, sir.
And today, in the interest of time, we'll look. So many hot topics in the air. So many. We still got Ferguson. Seems like some shaky stuff is going on. We've got athletes, child abuse, domestic violence, knocked his wife out. We've got citizens of Memphis who need to know more about Memphis politics. And I want to go to Thale Price today. Thale, something has been burning in your soul.
What it is?
Well, you right, Wallace. You right, because it's a couple of things that that I stand for. One of them is transparency.
Okay?
Another one is truth. So there's so many issues to address in this community that I find myself, just pondering to know where to begin. But the state of the community prescribes me to speak on this today. It's about an elected official, somebody that was elected as a Democrat, and they have the propensity to vote as a Republican. So I'm going to read from a couple of local publications. The Memphis News, as reported by Bill Dryers on September the issue is September the 12th through the 18th. That publication comes out for a week. So, and Jackson Brown, he's the Jackson Baker. I'm sorry, I said Brown. Jackson Baker.
Flight.
Yeah. For the flight.
Okay.
Okay. Let me start out with Bill Dryers. He said, Memphis Democrats don't agree on a whole lot these days, especially since the August 7th county general election, in which Democratic nominees lost to Republicans in all but one race, and that was the race won by incumbent Cheyenne Johnson. She was the county tax successor.
Okay.
She was the only Democrat that won a statewide race.
Okay.
I mean a citywide race. But last week, Justin Ford, a Democrat, was elected county chairperson for commission year 2014-2015. Besting three other nominees: Walter Bailey, Republican Roland, and Steve Bowser. All were holdovers from the 13 county commission body from last year. Okay, Roland would end up with a consolidated prize of the vice chairmanship, an office that in times of yore would put him in line for the succession to the chairmanship. In the true sense, Republican Schaefer said during the debate that Ford's election is a triumph for bipartisanship, which is what I think what she's saying is, if you elect a Democrat and a majority Republican seat, then it's bipartisanship. But what I'm trying to get to the point is that the newly elected chairperson of the county commission, an elected Democrat, is siding with the Republicans on county administration policies more than the Republicans are. That's I think that fact needs to come out. Let me say this again. The chairperson of the county commission, Justin Ford, is siding more with the Republicans on the way this county has been administrated than with the Democrats.
Okay, and you're saying that this is detrimental to the community?
If you voting for Republican ideology and you're a Democrat,
Okay.
I mean, read it for yourself.
There's some hypocrisy there, what you're saying.
Well, normal hypocrisy, you know, it's normal hypocrisy, and it's a scandalous road for a politician to say he's something and act in another way. One other thing.
Go ahead.
As it relates to the sewer fees on your Memphis Light, Gas, and Water bill. Not only are they taking out sewer fees, but I was surprised to find out that they're charging you to spray for mosquitoes. You got a mosquito fee, tax fee, whatever they want to call it, on your bill that they're using to spray for mosquitoes. And I hope they would stop taking this tax out on us in the wintertime, because I don't think they spray for mosquitoes in the wintertime, and they don't spray all neighborhoods. So what I'm saying is, you're being taxed for services that are not being rendered unto you. Look at the flooding in Frazier, Raleigh, Hickory Hill, parts of South Memphis. Every time it rains, it floods. It's not supposed to be that way, people.
Okay. Jabril, shed some light on the subject for
Oh,
us.
what subject there? The subject about the...
Yes.
Well-
We're talking about Memphis politics, budgeting, hypocrisy,
Well, you know-
the lack of transparency.
Memphis is
Does he have a point?
unique kind of, yeah.
Okay.
Memphis is kind of unique in that, because Memphis, even the chairman that was previous.
Huh.
All of them is going along with the format, the playbook, whatever the playbook is, we a lot of times, we as citizens not privileged to the playbook, but we know the politics of Memphis, those who have studied, it have never worked for us anyway, in the politics of Memphis or the county.
Okay.
It's a Republican format.
Well, surely, I don't doubt that at all, because, we don't have the kind of leadership, political leadership, that's willing to take a stand on anything. They set themselves up and they get the payola, and they just sit there as a human being in the chair while they collect their whatever they collect, to keep them empowered. It's nothing new. And it don't take Jackson Baker to make it what it is. Even though we got I read this column every now and then, because he touched on certain elements of the political arena that he kind of bring a little light on, but you have to take all facets to study the politics of Memphis. Take everything.
Okay. You said all facets. Omar, I want to go to you. Transparency, hypocrisy, lack of sincerity. Oh, on the part of our African American political leaders who are supposed to be representing the African American community. What about it?
My stand is always that I haven't seen a politician yet that has not been bought and paid for by private interests.
Okay.
I haven't seen one myself.
And so when you mention things like what Brother Phil just mentioned, I'm not shocked. I'm not surprised, I'm not amazed. In fact, it's business as usual.
Sure.
So until we recall all of them and start with a clean slate for every position that we can even vote to put somebody into, that we're gonna continue to have what we've been having, which is business as usual.
Okay. Dale spoke on something. And this last election, Omar, what happened? Did our future, maybe would-be representatives just lose the election, drop the ball? Where they said, what happened?
You know,
What has to be done?
we really don't know what happened in that last election. We don't know if the machines were rigged. We don't know because we don't control the machine. We don't know if the people were apathetic and decided not to vote. We really don't know. But here's a city that's primarily black, and the blacks are primarily Democrats, and the Democrats generally don't go to the polls in an off-session election, and maybe they stayed at home, but we really don't know.
Okay.
But what we do know is that those that got put into office don't represent us. We do know that. And we need to go back and really, I keep saying, and I really we need to do something with it. We need to form a committee of about 50 concerned citizens. And we need to pick candidates that we want to run and represent us. And then we need to back those candidates. We don't want anybody to run against them. If anybody run against them, we need to tear them out the race. We need a candidate that we know will be there to represent the people.
That's right.
And if we and like the Tea Party, when they back a candidate, you can forget about running against them.
Yeah.
Here's something that concerns me. Do our aspiring politicians wait until the last minute to come out into the community and start campaigning? Should they be working constantly? Should they be seen in the community, cleaning up, patrolling the streets, addressing the violence in the community, talking to the young people, instead of waiting 2 weeks, 3 weeks before the race? I know that I have a doctor's appointment on Friday. Should I wait until Thursday morning or Friday morning to start getting up, trying to get a ride to the doctor's office, Paul?
You may not make it.
And another issue, this issue that Baruti mentioned once before. We talk about political education, Memphis political education. He said that most people in Memphis look at the signs and vote for a pretty face. Talk with us.
For the former question, you know, it's only apparent that in anything, any endeavor you are involved in, there's a matter of preparation that you need to do in order to make your goals, in order to achieve your goals. But more importantly, it's no, you know, it's not something that's very difficult to understand. If you're gonna take on an endeavor, you need to prepare yourself and you need to put yourself out there. But I'm a proponent that the system is broke, and so the answers and solutions that Brother Baruti has, I leave those up to Brother Baruti. But for my own personal position on it, it's going to be unconventional. People who are conditioned to believe that the system will work will not understand what I'm about to say.
Okay.
But if the system is broke, there needs to be a change. And that change is going to be uncomfortable and it's going to be difficult for a lot of people who have been conditioned to believe that the system works. Because personally, if we look both parties up, Republican or Democrat, they don't mean us no good at all. Point blank, period. So when we start discussing issues about Republicans and Democrats and all these other parties, we are actually trying to pick the lesser of the evil, because all of them are not for us. None of them work. So if I'm going to be true to my position, the system is broken. Now you can prepare all you want to, but like Brother Baruti said, we have to understand that when our people get into office, they're paid, bought, and traded to do the causes of the people who have the money. So the system is broke. Now Baruti has good ideas, and all of us actually have been talking about doing some different things, and those ideas will work. But I'm not going to be the best person to take on the position and the responsibility to make it happen, because my opinion is biased from the get-go. I don't think it's going to work, and I'll follow you brothers, and I'll support you brothers to see it through, because if it's a change in the system, then I'm all for it. But if I'm going to vote for a person because he's Democrat or Republican, I think I have a long way to go in understanding these politics in Memphis.
Okay, you said none of the politicians, Democrat or Republican. So race, in my mind, comes into that equation. So Jabril, is he talking about African Americans not caring about other African Americans, or is he talking about them only filling their personal pockets? What is your interpretation of what Brother Paul just said?
You know, you got, and within the voting populace, you know, you got an uneducated populace, and you got a willing side of the populace, you know, that represent the so-called petty bourgeois buffer class, who is for the status quo. They are not for change, per se. They are about maintaining the status quo, because they have jobs, they have a college degree, they have all the kind of necessary ingredients to get some out of the system. You know, but that's only individualized. You know, it's not a collective structure that, you know, that kind of send the message that, you know, high tide raise all boats. They don't have that philosophy. You know, I know the players out there within the political arena. At the same time, I know who are out there, you know, as that doesn't have footprints in the community. As your question early on was, you know, is that should you wait until Thursday to try to get a ride?
Yeah.
You know, well, you know, most of our people who represent us in the political arena, they don't have any footprints in the community. They just have name recognition. And sometimes name recognition is all they need in a city like Memphis to have an uneducated populace. You know, you can manipulate that, you know, because, you know, you send that name out there enough times, you know, the uneducated populace will jump on the name. And they'll pull that ballot box for the name. But the thing about it, even in pulling your lever for whoever it is that you're trying to vote for, is still a problem there, because the ballot box itself, the voting registration machine itself is under question. So if it's under question, we don't know where our vote go to.
Okay.
So there's a lot of stuff we got to do in repairing that, Brother Paul said.
Yes.
There's a lot of repair work got to be done. There's a lot of things, a lot of measures that have to be taken, you know, and it should be taken up by the legislature in order to recall all of this stuff that got to be done. You know, there's a lot of things that's wrong with the political system.
Yeah, you said petty, bourgeois, buffer class.
Yes, sir.
Can you, and you said you know the players, but not right now, not calling any names, not right now, but can you break down a little bit more of who, you did a good job, but break down to the listening audience a little bit more if you can about this petty bourgeoisie.
The one that helped drink the Kool-Aid.
Okay. Okay.
The one that will stick by this system, right or wrong, up or down, sideways or whatever. They are intending to maintain the status quo. The status quo serve them.
Yes, they have some.
The status quo don't serve the masses. It always serves the petty bourgeois, people who have skin in the game. You know, the uneducated populace don't have any skin in the game, so they don't know what's going on out here. Those are the ones that, you know, I'm preaching for to try to educate.
I understand. So there comes that word again, apathy. Dale Price, is it time to, this is a question for all of us, is it time to throw the bombs out?
Well, you know, my favorite word is recall. That's my favorite word as it relates to politics.
Well, a lot of these words mean the same thing. Sometimes if we change them around, they have more effect.
Dissatisfaction.
Throw the bombs out. Dissatisfaction. Go ahead.
Dissatisfaction.
I'm sorry.
It begins with community forums, voter registration, having knowledge of your candidates besides just name recognition. Throw the bombs out. That's okay. We would like to do that, but if you invest in the beginning, having enough registered voters to put the right candidate in, knowing what these candidates stand for, knowing what the issues are, then